Why, hello, wrestling fans. It has been far too long. 2 days is always far, far too long in the world of wrestling because, my word, there is so much wrestling that I feel like I've already missed about 2 months worth in the 2 days that we've had to wait between NXT and tonight, which is, of course, WWE Smackdown. So you have tonight a WWE Smackdown preview live here on my personal YouTube channel and also, more importantly, on the Daily Wrestling channel, which, as of tomorrow, will be monetized. So we will be only streaming on the Daily Wrestling service. We will not be streaming on both channels as we have been doing in the past. I'll be mentioning that a couple of times over the course of the show for people coming a bit later on or maybe aren't here for the whole show. But tonight, what we are talking about is an upcoming SmackDown show which finally has enough announced to actually sink your teeth into. There is more announced for this SmackDown than there has been for what feels like the last 15 SmackDowns in a row, and certainly far more than has been announced for Raw previously. So we are in the wonderful world of wrestling. We are in the wonderful world of WWE Smackdown. I'm going to be previewing everything that you can expect to see tonight, and I'm going to be talking a little bit more about additional news. And I want to start with that. That's the news about Andrade handing in his release. I can confirm that this has happened. A number of different websites have already confirmed it independently as well. I can confirm it here. Now, the mood out of the WWE seems to be that a serious question mark as to whether or not they're actually going to accept the release request and essentially his resignation. But why would they do that if they're not using him? Andrade, of course, is on Raw at the moment. Aleister Black also on Raw in a similar situation, but hasn't formally requested his release just yet. So keep an eye on that situation. Michael Latina is here saying, "Hi, Tom. Welcome, Michael. Glad to see you could join us." This hopefully will not be like my earlier Twitch show, where it took me 2 hours to get to the actual SmackDown preview. I can't do that. I'm on a deadline of 30 minutes. So I'm going to start with the preview stuff. Let's start with the build towards the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. This has been a slow build involving quite a lot of teams. Excuse me. Involving quite a lot of teams, mostly independently of each other. At the moment, you have the Dirty Dogs, that being Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, as the current champions. Currently in the tag division, on both face and heel side, you have Rey and Dominic Mysterio on the face side. You have the Street Profits on the face side, who look almost dead set to get a championship opportunity at Fastlane. You also have at the moment Baron Corbin and Sami Zayn. Strange a tag team as it is, they are indeed still a tag team. So stranger things have happened in that regard. In addition to that, you have the newly heel Otis and Chad Gable. Now, there was a little bit of controversy recently over the last few days as to the length of Chad Gable's contract. That was a suggestion by a member of FTR, who are, of course, from the AEW roster, that he only had 2 months left to run on it. That would take him to just past WrestleMania and essentially leave him there. That will be as far as he goes with his current contract. This would be a surprise. I think they can't really afford to lose someone of the Chad Gable talent level, especially when they seem to be actively losing Andrade and Aleister Black as well. People that they just don't seem to really know what to do with, as it were. There is a number of other people as well, currently maybe not too happy in the locker room. The heel turn for Otis and the way that Chad Gable is being used at the moment to pick up loss after loss after loss for his tag team partner suggests that maybe they've given up on this one, and Chad Gable will be out of the company very, very soon. Someone is here. I know someone is here, but his name is someone. So someone is here saying, "Hey, Tom, welcome, someone. Glad to see you could join us today. And obviously, if you have any wrestling-based questions, throw them out there." The reason that I'm talking about this as regards SmackDown Tag Team Championships is because of the belief that come Fastlane, which is 2 shows after this. So we have this SmackDown, next week's SmackDown, and then Fastlane. I suspect we are going to see a formalization of the tag team championship match, which will be between the Street Profits and the Dirty Dogs, Ziggler and Roode. I believe what we are looking at there is a return of the championships to the Street Profits, leading into a match with maybe Chad Gable and Otis. Also very possible, of course, that we could see the Dirty Dogs play into that, or Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio. Michael Latina says, "Wait, you think Gable will be leaving WWE soon?" I don't know. But there is definitely a rumor that that would be happening. This is definitely something that has been mentioned and something that is possible, if not necessarily guaranteed in any way, shape, or form. So it's not completely outside of the idea. Someone saying, why are Dolph and Otis teaming? Dolph and Otis are teaming? Now, I'm reading off the WWE.com preview to try and make sure I don't miss things. If you'll forgive me a moment to reflect, as it were, I'm going to briefly pop over to the WWE Twitter, the official one, and just check whether or not I've missed anything over the last half hour or so. If there's been some update on SmackDown, which involves this many people. All right. Street Profits team up with Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio to take on Ziggler, Rude, Otis, and Gable. Literally, as I've just been saying, this came out 23 minutes ago. I had a snack, essentially paused to have a meal before I came live tonight, knowing that I will be on for a bit. So thank you for letting me know that, someone. So yeah, 8-man tag team match with essentially the entire tag division at the moment definitely seems to be building towards that particular championship match. Ed says, Tom, can we hijack this stream too? I have no control over you, Ed, but I do only have about, 22 more minutes before SmackDown starts. So you can try, but I'm going to be very hard to stop. Katana Pawns All says, will Roman punish Jay tonight for losing last week? Roman is currently booked to have a contract signing with Daniel Bryan. Paul Heyman will definitely be there. Jey Uso is expected to be involved in some capacity as well. I don't know if we're going to see punishment. If we do, Jey Uso will still stick with him. I think it's more likely we're just going to see a repeat of Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso, which you've seen for the past 2 weeks. I think that's more likely. Ideally, I'd like to see Jey Uso involved in a different manner. Maybe Big E, I nearly said Langston there, my bad. Maybe the current Intercontinental Champion Big E against Jey Uso in the build to him and Apollo Crews, if they want to formalize that relationship. I don't know if we'll see a punishment, as it were. Michael Latino also confirms, as I just read on Twitter, thanks for keeping me updated, guys. Sasha and Bianca versus Natty and Tamina. This would have been great if they hadn't already announced that Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair would be taking on Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler at Fastlane. If they hadn't already announced that, this match would make perfect sense. Now, if they want to try and roll it back, if they want to play this match essentially as a way of saying, okay, but you might lose your championship shot, it's a good way to tease what's been going on and essentially tease tension. That's the plan right now. That's why we're seeing Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair lining up ready for the Kevin Owens show. The idea is to tease tension between the two of them. Reginald has been used, Reginald has been used essentially to keep the two of them apart so far. And it's been working. It's been a way of lengthening the feud and lengthening the storyline so they don't give you the entire story in 2 weeks and then have to wait another 8 until WrestleMania. Royal Rumble winners always, it's a long time before they actually get to the point at which they are actually formally challenging for the title. I'm saying the word formally a lot tonight, just as a strange thing. Also, back on the Iron Brew, there'll be whiskey in it by the time we go live on Twitch. So this would be very good for that if the plan was to have a potential number one contender crowned for Fastlane, but they're not. The plan is still Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, unless they try to change that on the Kevin Owens show tonight. That would be strange. I think Natalya and Tamina are more likely to be given a grievance here, more likely to be involved in the tag title scene for WrestleMania. This could be a launching off point for them. Someone also says, and this takes us back to Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, do you think Edge could interfere in the match at Fastlane? Personally, no. Personally, I think Daniel Bryan's losing, not necessarily clean. Jey Uso will undoubtedly still be involved in it, maybe Jimmy Uso as well. But I can't see Edge being involved. Now, Edge did promise us he will be on every show until he challenges for the WWE Championship, or in this case, the Universal Championship. We ain't seen him for a while. You know? We ain't seen him for a while. And I don't expect we're going to see him tonight. We may see a promo, a backstage promo that's been pre-recorded, or one of those selfie promos that they record for you. But I don't think we're going to see Edge in the building this week. And it's both a good and a bad thing. It certainly builds tension, but Edge has been coming across really heelish recently, if you ask me. he's really looked like he's essentially just looking to interfere in Daniel Bryan's title shot. He's looking like he doesn't want to take on all challenges. He just wants Roman Reigns. Now, admittedly, I've had many talks about this with Nick Barbati, who I work with on PW Torch for Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure. We are both in agreement that Edge has not been used particularly well so far. He's looking like a heel. He's looking like he's dodging the challenge of Daniel Bryan. And if he was going to dodge challenges, he probably shouldn't have lined up against Roman Reigns. That's always an immediate bad start, just a really bad start. Phantom Games, welcome Phantom Games, not a name I recognize, so welcome to the channel. It says, who do you think is going to win Bianca versus Sasha? Personally, I think Bianca Belair will be leaving WrestleMania as a SmackDown Women's Champion. I think we're going to see a Sasha Banks heel turn, and the feud will continue at least until Money in the Bank. It won't be until SummerSlam, from where I'm sitting, that Bianca Belair gets a new challenger. That's how I'm seeing it personally. Someone has asked a Raw question, which I'll quickly fly through. If it's Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar, who wins? Bobby Lashley, for me, will be retaining at WrestleMania. I suspect if that is a match that lines up, Drew will be there to take the pin. He'll just take it after a few F5s. He did, after all, take 7 men to get the championship away from McIntyre in the first place. And based on the fact that he lost at Survivor Series, it should take 8 or 9 men to actually take the championship away from Roman Reigns. If you're going to ask me next as to who I think is winning at WrestleMania between Edge and Roman, the answer is Roman, especially now that there's no Christian to back him up. That's certainly how I'm seeing things going personally. Not much else has been formally announced for WWE tonight, apart from let's have a talk about the Intercontinental title scene. Big E returns this week. I didn't expect him back last week because they're filming in 2-week batches. This week is the beginning of a new one leading into Fastlane. So he is back, ready for action again, which means that it's going to be interesting to see how Apollo Crews reacts to that. Now, one of the interesting things about the WWE Smackdown preview on WWE.com is that they have featured superstars in the top corner. So the news essentially on the preview is Intercontinental Champion Big E returns, featured superstars Big E and Apollo Crews. That's quite telling. Bit of a spoiler, if you ask me. And I really feel that's quite telling about where they're heading with this. Apollo Crews has more character and personality now than he ever has before. And this is Apollo Crews. This is the guy who performed under the name UR Nation in Preston City Wrestling around the corner from me. This is the guy, as it were. This is the real man. And I'm excited to see what he can do as himself a little more. So it looks like Shinsuke Nakamura is essentially out of the woods and won't be going further with this. But really, I hope we're going to see more people get involved. This, for me, feels like it's an upcoming ladder match. Phantom Games says, who will win at Fastlane for the Women's Tag Team Championships, do you think? I think Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler will take the win. I think it'll be almost exactly the same as last month at Elimination Chamber, with Sasha Banks taking the pin en route. Possibly, largely due to Reginald interference, possibly due to some miscommunication, but I don't think Bianca Belair will pick up any losses en route to WrestleMania. Also says, by the way, I subscribed. Thank you very much, Phantom Games. Really do appreciate that. If anyone wasn't here earlier on, please do remember to click like on the video. That's a big help for us in our personal growth. Helps essentially tell people where we are. YouTube knows what to advertise if we're getting likes. But also on my personal channel, this will be the last live preview for the Daily Wrestling Warmup, because Daily Wrestling, that channel is now being monetized. So I want to essentially send people over there as much as possible. I'm going to put a link in the chat. Daily Wrestling, for anyone who doesn't already know, the mission essentially is to give you wrestling every single day, at least for the month of March. Naturally, in getting that many matches, there is a lot of booking fees involved. So it needs to be something that makes money. That's why we're looking at monetizing. That's why we're looking at trying to get fans in when we can do that, of course. But your wrestling match for today, uploaded about 45 minutes ago, is Cody Hancock versus Dave Mazzani. Dave Mazzani, of course, is someone I have personally interviewed for the Daily Wrestling channel, so that's worth checking out. If you haven't subscribed there, please go over and do that, and make sure to say hi there. Phantom Games, of course, you are already over there. Thank you for your subscription. Phantom Games also says, what's your dream match, women's and men's? I have a number of dream matches. There's a number of things I really want to see. I really wanted to see the Demon King Finn Balor against Aleister Black as an example. I think that would be incredible. I would like to see a rematch, a return, as it were, for Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan, maybe Johnny Gargano and Daniel Bryan. There's a number of really exciting possibilities. I personally would love to see someone the caliber of Kota Ibushi against someone the caliber of Seth Rollins. I think those two could really make things happen. I believe that Kota Ibushi and AJ Styles have wrestled in Japan. I would still like to see it again. Still very much like to see that again. Just on the side, when it comes to women's, I still want to see the one-on-one match between Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey. Still want to see that really badly. I'd also like to see Rousey against Sonya Deville, because I think they could have an incredibly physical shoot-style match, which would really deliver. Also, I kind of want to see Rhea Ripley and Drew McIntyre have a fight. It's funny, isn't it? It's funny. And they would genuinely compete at the same level. It would be incredible. It'd be absolutely incredible. So Big E is returning tonight. No sign of Shinsuke Nakamura in the preview. My hope is that maybe we will see a third match now that they are 1-for-1 between Apollo Crews and Shinsuke Nakamura, which Big E can distract or in some way aid and help out, essentially ensuring that they're in a position whereby Big E has cost Apollo Crews that match, leading into a triple threat. I would like to see a triple threat between those three. I don't want to see Shinsuke Nakamura dropped out. SCW, welcome, Steve. I've been seeing some of your work on, I believe his name is Jonesy, his channel recently. Just subscribe to Daily Wrestling. No questions today, but just want to say great preview as always. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much for that. Really do appreciate it. I hope that you're able to drop in on the Twitch accounts soon as well. I'd really be glad to have you over there too. Corey MLB is here saying, hi Tom, just listening to your stream. I am lurking. You lurk away, Corey. You are more than welcome, as you know. Phantom Game says, how crazy do you think Nia versus Shayna Hell in a Cell could be? That would actually be really good, wouldn't it? They are both incredibly physical and could really go. That'd be a lot of fun. Plus, Hell in a Cell with someone who can compete in that sort of physicality. You put, for example, Charlotte and Rhea in a Hell in a Cell. You know that's going to work. Phantom Game also says, do you think Ronda returns? So I'm going to go into a bit of detail on this. A while ago, many years ago, I did report that it looked like Ronda Rousey will essentially only be working for 12 months. I did mention this and got shot down by a number of sources. And then at the end of the initial 12 months, we haven't seen her for the last 2 years. Now, her initial contract was for 3 years, and it will expire before WrestleMania. However, that is the initial rumored contract, because somehow she's not been there for 2 years and apparently been paid for it. I have question marks about that. I do think Ronda Rousey will return. I'm just not sure when. I think Ronda Rousey is obviously a very, very big name and very much well worth the time that the WWE could put in. She did draw very strongly. I just worry that without a Ronda Rousey caliber star, we won't get an Evolution 2. And personally, I think Evolution was the best pay-per-view of that year. The Last Woman Standing match between Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair was the best match of that year. I really enjoyed it. Matt's saying Jason Jordan is deep, deep water right now. What are you referring to there, Matt? Have I missed something? Did Jason Jordan do a naughty? By deep, deep water, do you mean deep, deep other stuff? Let me know. Someone says, how long is WrestleMania going to be each night, you think? I suspect it'll be about 4 hours each night. The WWE, since COVID struck, have been trying to put on shorter pay-per-views. They've been trying to make them 3 hours at most for a lot of the time. But in addition to that, they've got stuff like the Royal Rumble, which did go longer. They have been trying to keep them shorter. That's why they have the 2 nights. And last year it was about 4 hours and then about 4 hours. So personally, I think 4 hours is what they will aim for, especially when you consider how much they have on the other things. If the rumor is true and we just don't have anything really set in stone at the moment, they might go a little bit shorter. Matt says, yes, he did. Can you link me to that, please, Matt, or take a quote and stick it in a comment? I see. Right. I will look into that a little more later. I'm always a bit reticent on these things because if you remember, Kevin Owens was called out and called all sorts of crap for being a adulterer. And then as it turned out, his wife's Instagram was hacked and it wasn't true at all. So I will always wait and see on that one. Phantom Game says, what do you think about Rhea coming to Raw? Raw needs her. Raw really needs her. The Raw Women's Division has been very confused by the fact that the tag team champions are almost always on Raw at the moment. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, for me, should be in the title scene, but they're not. Alexa Bliss is working sort of independently of the title scene and thus not really pushing for it. When it comes to Rhea Ripley, they're adding an incredible talent there. I've written extensively about Rhea Ripley. I am a huge fan of hers and really enjoyed her work. Corey says, welcome over from Daily Wrestling. If you guys don't know, I'm usually over on Twitch, but come around on YouTube sometimes. One of Tom's good friends since January. We did get to know each other since January, regularly on Twitch. Daniel Edler says, do you think when somebody from NXT is called up to SmackDown or Raw, the NXT should get somebody sent over in return? Interesting. I don't think that's a bad idea, to be completely honest. I think back to August 2019. I still have the audio for this, so this might be something you are interested in. When I asked Triple H about NXT as a developmental brand, and he said he didn't like the term call-up. He saw NXT as on the level of Raw and SmackDown. So I think you're entirely right. I think that's a really good idea because NXT has become very oversaturated at the moment. There are too many people there and very few getting opportunities. If we had, for example, Naomi and Ricochet, they've both expressed an interest in going back to NXT. I've reported on this extensively. Then a trade might be a better option. They could make the draft a little bit more interesting by having trades. And it also gives people an additional challenge. Let's say, we're talking SmackDown now, so let's talk Apollo Crews. Let's say Apollo Crews gets traded for Cameron Grimes. I think at that point, Apollo Crews has a reason to be very, very upset. Very upset indeed. There's a storyline immediately. Way better than that SmackDown Top 10 they did a while ago. Corey says, don't worry, I'm a wrestling fan, a huge wrestling fan. We are all wrestling fans here. That's why we're here for the Daily Wrestling. Getting a lot of info there, Matt. Thank you. Phantom says, do you think Alexa will cause Rhea a loss at her first match after she got eliminated by her at the Royal Rumble? I do not. I don't think Alexa Bliss actually holds a grudge. I don't think the plan there was essentially to make a storyline out of it. I think they just needed to get Alexa Bliss out of that match because her character right now doesn't fit the Royal Rumble. So I think they essentially were just trying to get rid of it. I will talk about that a bit more, Matt, but I'll wait for Twitch on that one because at the moment I am still talking SmackDown preview. We don't have that much time left, so if you can keep that for Twitch, I will talk to you a lot more about it on there, where I can do a bit more research as well because not on the clock. It is only 7 minutes now until SmackDown. You are watching Daily Wrestling. This is the last dual stream, so please, if you haven't already subscribed to Daily Wrestling, pop on over there and click subscribe because I will not be streaming on my personal YouTube channel going forwards with these previews. Cheers, Matt. On this SmackDown, we will, of course, continue the build to a number of WrestleMania matches incoming. One of those is Cesaro and Seth Rollins. They'd certainly had an elevation of the story last week when Buddy Murphy appeared. Since then, he has posted something on Instagram, essentially asking the question, what did the Mysterios ever do for me? And I can't blame him for asking that question because whatever that storyline was, it wasn't really well received by fans. Lot of question marks over it. Just a whole lot of question marks. Now, when it comes to Buddy Murphy, I expect him to play spoiler in this and it'd be like Keith Lee was between Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, just keeping them separate, just keeping them apart. That makes the most logical sense for me personally. And that is pretty much what I expect to see on this week's SmackDown. Let's go quickly to a separate document from the WWE one and just quickly check that I haven't missed anything. Meanwhile, Phantom Games says, who do you think will win, Roman or Daniel? I believe Roman Reigns will be retaining the championship going into the match with Edge. I think Roman Reigns right now is a much bigger deal and a much stronger draw than Daniel Bryan. I also think, considering how many fans are going to be at WrestleMania, I think he might get cheered. I really, really do. And that'll be a bad look for the WWE. Right, what haven't I mentioned? Women's tag titles, SmackDown tag titles. I have mentioned pretty much everything. I'll be interested to see how Sonya Deville is used tonight. Last week, they just used her as a way of getting a storyline going for Tamina and Natalya. And we have a match for them tonight. I just don't think they're going to win it. So how will Sonya Deville be involved? There have been a number of times when she has appeared to subtly undermine Adam Pearce. That, for me, is interesting from a storytelling perspective. How are they going to use her? Pardon me. What are they going to do with her? Is she going to be representing this or that? There are a number of ways she could be used. There is a suggestion from a couple of fans that maybe she is working with Roman. I wouldn't be too surprised, and I think she is such a good heel that if and when she does return, I'd like to see her return as a heel. So I would definitely keep an eye on Sonya Deville this week. We have very little time, only 4 more minutes until we start SmackDown, so I will only be with you for a couple more. I'm going to start up my Twitch stream. It'll be just on a blank page at the moment, essentially a waiting page for people to arrive. Phantom Game says, do you think Sonya will be in the ring again? I'm really genuinely not sure. I did mention at SummerSlam she was given the option of taking time off, and it's a phased return. It's entirely up to her at this point what she wants to do. I would love to see Sonya Deville back in the ring. I think she's an incredibly talented person. It's just at the moment that hasn't happened, and that is down to her. That is her choice. So I'm going to be as supportive as possible with Sonya Deville, and I just hope that things all work out for her going forwards. That is everything we have for SmackDown. So I'm just going to run over everything I've said about Daily Wrestling. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the Daily Wrestling channel. This will be the last dual stream. So any questions you have for the preview shows, please take them over there. As of Monday, we do these preview shows at half an hour before Raw, NXT, and SmackDown 3 times a week. So keep an eye out for them. We are growing fast there. So it's definitely something you want to keep an eye on. The latest match released just under an hour ago is Cody Hancock versus Dave Mazzani. Dave Mazzani I have interviewed for Daily Wrestling, so please do check that out. And just for anyone who doesn't already know, if you would like to ask more questions, if you would like more of this during SmackDown, you can follow me at twitch.tv/Tom Colohue. I will also put that link into the comments, where I am about to launch a live watch along where you can join in, ask the questions. Many people you've seen here will also be there as well. You can join a great community. Earlier today, they kept me on for 2 hours in what is normally a half-hour show. So please, if you would like to continue this, pop over to twitch.tv/Tom Colohue. Hit follow there. It's completely free, and you'll be notified every time I go live. I'm live on a waiting screen right now. As soon as I finish here, in a couple of seconds at this point, I will be heading over there. So please remember to follow over on Twitch as well to continue the conversation for live reactions. Last question I'll take. Phantom Games, thank you very much for all of your questions. I really do appreciate you jumping in. When do you think Becky will return? I don't think it'll be for a while. It's essentially entirely up to Becky. Obviously, there is a lot going on in her life right now, both happy news and unfortunately some sad news as well. So it's up to her what she does, and I am more than willing to give her all the time in the world. This has been your Daily Wrestling Warmup. SmackDown is less than a minute away. I have been Tom Colohue. Please remember to follow Daily Wrestling. Follow me over on Twitch. I hope everyone has a great time. Bring your questions on Monday for the Raw preview, and enjoy Daily Wrestling.